The school bus arrived on time, doors opened with their usual hiss, but 5-year-old Lily Hayes didn't step off. Instead, bus driver Mr. Thompson approached Deputy Commissioner David Hayes with trembling hands and devastating news. Someone took her, Commissioner. A woman with official papers said she was authorized. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The first letter came on a Tuesday morning. I found it stuck to my mailbox with tape, written in perfect handwriting on cream-colored paper. Dear Mr. Hayes, it read. Your lawn violates HOA standards. The dandelions must be removed within 48 hours or face a $50 fine. Signed, Karen Mitchell, HOA President. I crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash. My 5-year-old daughter Lily was playing in the backyard, picking those same dandelions and making crowns with them. Her mother Sarah used to do the same thing before cancer took her 2 years ago. Those yellow flowers were one of the few things that still made Lily smile. The second letter came 3 days later. This time it was about my mailbox being the wrong shade of blue. Then another about my fence being 2 inches too tall. Then one about my garbage cans being visible from the street. Karen Mitchell had declared war on me and I didn't even know why. I worked as Deputy Police Commissioner for the county. My days were filled with real crimes, robberies, assaults, drug busts. The last thing I wanted to deal with was some power-hungry HOA president nitpicking my property. But Karen wouldn't stop. She started taking pictures of my house. I'd see her walking by in the morning with her clipboard and camera, documenting every blade of grass that was too long, every leaf that fell from my oak tree onto the sidewalk. She measured the height of my fence with a ruler. She counted the number of dandelions in my yard. Daddy, why does that lady keep staring at our house? Lily asked one evening as we watched Karen pace back and forth in front of our gate. Some people don't have enough to do with their time, sweetheart, I said, pulling the curtains closed. The fines kept coming. $50 here, $75 there. I ignored them all. I had bigger problems than Karen Mitchell's obsession with perfect lawns. That was my first mistake. 3 weeks after the first letter, Karen showed up at my door. It was Saturday morning and Lily and I were having pancakes on the porch. Karen marched up my walkway wearing a bright red blazer and carrying a thick folder. Mr. Hayes, she said, her voice sharp as glass. We need to talk. I set down my coffee cup. What about, Ms. Mitchell? About your complete disregard for community standards. She opened her folder and pulled out a stack of photographs. Pictures of my house from every angle. Close-ups of dandelions. My mailbox. My fence. You owe the HOA $847 in fines. I almost laughed. I'm not paying that. Her face turned red. You signed the HOA agreement when you bought this house. That was my wife who signed it. And she's dead. The words came out harsher than I meant. Lily looked up from her pancakes, her big brown eyes worried. Karen's expression didn't soften at all. That doesn't matter, she said. The agreement transfers to you. Pay the fines or face legal action. Get off my property, I said quietly. Karen stepped closer. You think because you're some big shot cop that rules don't apply to you? This is my neighborhood, Hayes. I keep it perfect. I keep it safe. And I won't let you ruin it. That's when I saw it, the crazy look in her eyes. This wasn't about lawn care or mailbox colors. This was about power. About control. Karen Mitchell had made our neighborhood her personal kingdom, and I was the only one brave enough to tell her no. Daddy? Lily's small voice broke the tension. Is the mean lady going to hurt us? Karen looked at my daughter and something cold flickered across her face. Smart little girl, she said. Maybe she understands what her father doesn't. I stood up fast, my chair scraping against the porch. You need to leave. Now. Karen smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. This isn't over, Hayes. Not by a long shot. She walked away, her heels clicking on the sidewalk. But she stopped at the end of my driveway and took more pictures. That night, I called my neighbor Tom Rodriguez. Tom had lived on Willow Lane for 15 years. Be careful with Karen, he warned me. She's gotten worse over the years. Started out just wanting nice yards, but now, she thinks she owns everyone. The Johnsons moved away last year because of her. She made their lives hell over a rose bush that was the wrong color. What about the other neighbors? Doesn't anyone stand up to her? Tom was quiet for a moment. People are scared, David. She has friends at City Hall. She knows people. And she never forgets a grudge. After I hung up, I tucked Lily into bed. She had been quieter than usual all day. Daddy, she whispered as I turned off her light. I don't like that red lady. You don't have to worry about her, baby. I'll always protect you. I meant those words. I had no idea how soon I'd be tested. The harassment got worse. Karen started timing my garbage collection, writing me up if the can stayed out 15 minutes too long. She measured the exact height of my grass with a ruler and documented it with photos. She even complained about Lily's bicycle being parked in our own driveway. But the worst part was how she started targeting Lily directly. One afternoon, I came home from work to find Lily crying in the backyard. She was holding the remains of her dandelion crown. Someone had stomped on it. "What happened, sweetheart?" "The red lady came when you were gone," Lily sobbed. "She said my flowers were weeds and killed them. She said I was making the neighborhood ugly." My blood boiled. I marched over to Karen's house and pounded on her door. She answered with that same cold smile. "Can I help you, Mr. Hayes?" "Stay away from my daughter." I was simply educating her about proper landscaping. Children need to learn these things. "If you come near her again, you'll what?" Karen stepped closer. "Arrest me? For talking to a child in her own yard? Good luck with that." She was right and she knew it. Technically, she hadn't broken any laws. But something in her eyes told me she was planning something bigger. I installed security cameras the next day. Front yard, backyard, all angles of the house. If Karen was going to escalate, I wanted evidence. But I never imagined how far she would go. Karen Mitchell wasn't just the HOA president. I learned this through some digging at the station. She was connected. Her brother-in-law worked at the county recorder's office, her cousin was a city council member, and she had friends in the school district. She had been planning this for weeks. The first step was establishing credibility. Karen started volunteering at Lily's school, helping with pickup duties. She got to know the bus drivers, the teachers, the office staff. She positioned herself as a concerned community member who just wanted to help keep the children safe. The second step was gathering information. She learned Lily's schedule, her route home, which bus she took. She befriended Mr. Thompson, the bus driver, bringing him coffee and chatting about the kids. The third step was creating the fake documents. Using her connections, Karen had official-looking papers made that authorized her to pick up children for HOA community safety inspections. The letterhead looked real. The signatures looked real. To a tired bus driver at the end of a long day, it would look completely legitimate. But I didn't know any of this yet. All I knew was that Karen had been unusually quiet for a few days. No letters, no fines, no photographs. I should have been worried. Instead, I was relieved. On Thursday afternoon, I stood at my usual spot across from the bus stop. The yellow bus came around the corner right on time, just like always. I waved at the window where Lily usually sat, but I couldn't see her through the tinted glass. The bus stopped. The doors opened. But Lily didn't get off. My heart stopped as Mr. Thompson stepped off the bus instead of my daughter. His face was white as paper, his hands shaking. "Commissioner Hayes," he said, his voice barely a whisper. I made a terrible mistake." The world tilted sideways. "Where's Lily?" A woman came aboard at the school. She had papers, official-looking documents. She said she was authorized to take Lily for some kind of safety inspection. "She said you knew about it." I grabbed his shoulders. "What woman?" "Describe her." "Middle-aged, blonde hair, wearing a red blazer. She had a clipboard and badges. Everything looked official. She knew Lily's name, knew about the HOA. I thought." His voice broke. "I thought it was legitimate. Karen. I should have seen this coming. All those weeks of harassment, all those threats, this was her endgame." I pulled out my phone and called dispatch. "This is Deputy Commissioner Hayes. I need an APB issued immediately. Karen Mitchell, age 45, blonde hair, driving a white SUV. She's abducted my daughter from the school bus. This is code red." Within minutes, sirens filled the air. Police cars swarmed Willow Lane. I gave the officers Karen's address, her description, everything I knew about her. But when we kicked in her door, the house was empty. On her kitchen table was a note in her perfect handwriting: "Your daughter is safe for now. Follow HOA rules, fix your violations and pay all fines. Any attempt to find her will result in her permanent disappearance. You have 24 hours. My legs gave out. I sat down hard in one of Karen's pristine chairs, staring at the note. She had my baby. My Lily, who was afraid of the dark, who couldn't sleep without her stuffed bunny Mr. Flops, who still cried for her mommy sometimes at night. Detective Ramirez put his hand on my shoulder. "Boss, will find her. We'll tear this city apart if we have to." But I barely heard him. All I could think about was Lily's face when Karen had looked at her on my porch. The cold calculation in Karen's eyes. She wasn't just angry, she was completely insane. And she had my daughter. The next 18 hours were the longest of my life. We put out alerts on every highway, checked every property Karen owned or had access to. We interviewed her neighbors, her family, anyone who might know where she would go. Karen's sister finally broke. She told us about the second house in Oak Ridge Estates, a gated community 20 miles away. Karen used it as a rental property, but it had been empty for months. She's been acting strange lately, the sister said, crying. Obsessed with your family. She showed me pictures of your house, talked about you constantly. I thought it was just HOA stuff, but she scared me. I was already in my car before she finished talking. Oak Ridge Estates was everything Karen loved: perfect lawns, identical mailboxes, houses that looked like they came from a catalog. The security guard waved me through when I showed my badge. House 247 sat at the end of a cul-de-sac. All the windows were covered with thick curtains. Karen's white SUV was parked in the garage. I called for backup, then crept around to the back of the house. Through a gap in the curtains I could see into the living room. It was sterile, cold beige walls, beige furniture, no personality at all. And there, curled up on the couch, was my little girl. Lily had been in that house for almost a full day. Karen hadn't given her much food, just some crackers and water. She was still wearing her school clothes from yesterday, clutching Mr. Flops tight against her chest. The living room Karen kept her in was like a museum: no toys, no color, nothing a child would want to touch. There was just a beige couch, a coffee table with perfect magazines, and a clock on the wall that ticked so loud it echoed. Lily had tried to be brave at first. When Karen dragged her into the house, she had demanded to go home. She had asked for her daddy, asked when she could go to school. But Karen's responses got crueler each time. Your daddy doesn't care about you, Karen would say. If he cared, he would follow the rules. He would keep his house nice. But he's selfish, and now you have to pay for it. That's not true. Lily would cry. My daddy loves me. Then where is he? Karen would ask. Why hasn't he come to get you? The worst part was the nights. Karen would lock Lily in a small bedroom with no windows. The room was completely dark, and Lily was terrified of the dark ever since her mother died. She would lie on the hard bed, holding Mr. Flops, crying quietly so Karen wouldn't hear. She sang songs her mother used to sing to her. She pretended her daddy was there, telling her bedtime stories. She promised herself that he would come soon, that he would find her, that everything would be okay. But as the hours passed, even Lily's brave heart started to doubt. On the second morning, Karen seemed different. More frantic, more angry. She paced around the living room, muttering to herself. He should have paid by now, she said. The fines, the violations, it's all so simple. Why can't he just follow the rules? Lily watched her pace, this woman who had stolen her from everything safe and familiar. Why are you so mean? She asked in her small voice. Karen stopped pacing and stared at her. Mean? I'm trying to help you, you stupid child. I'm trying to teach your father a lesson. This neighborhood used to be perfect before you people moved in. We didn't do anything wrong, Lily whispered. Everything you do is wrong. Karen screamed, making Lily flinch. Your ugly flowers, your messy yard, your father's attitude, all of it. You're ruining everything. That's when Lily understood. This wasn't really about yards or flowers or rules. This woman was just broken inside, and she wanted everyone else to hurt too. But even understanding that didn't make Lily less scared. I watched the house for 20 minutes, studying every entrance, every window. Backup was still 10 minutes away, but I couldn't wait. Through the gap in the curtains I could see Lily on that couch, looking so small and frightened. I picked the lock on the back door, a skill that came in handy sometimes in police work. The house was quiet except for that loud ticking clock. I could hear Karen moving around upstairs, probably in the master bedroom. I crept through the kitchen, past the dining room, toward the living room where Lily sat. She was facing away from me, talking quietly to her stuffed bunny. It's okay, Mr. Flops, she whispered. Daddy will come. He always comes when I need him. My heart broke and swelled at the same time. Even after everything Karen had put her through, Lily still believed in me. I was 3 steps away from her when the floorboard creaked. Karen appeared at the top of the stairs, holding a baseball bat. I knew you'd come, she said, her voice deadly calm. You just couldn't follow simple instructions, could you? Lily spun around and saw me. Daddy, she cried, jumping off the couch. But Karen was faster. She ran down the stairs and grabbed Lily before she could reach me, holding the bat near my daughter's head. Don't move, Karen hissed. 1 step closer and I'll hurt her. I froze, my gun drawn but useless. Lily was crying now, terrified. Karen let her go. This is between you and me. No. Karen's voice was rising, getting more hysterical. This is about respect. About following rules. About people like you thinking you're above the law. You want me to pay the fines? Fine. You want me to fix my yard? I'll do it. Just let Lily go. Karen laughed, a harsh sound that made Lily cry harder. Too late for that. You had your chance. Now you'll learn what happens when you defy Karen Mitchell. She started backing toward the front door, dragging Lily with her. I followed, keeping my gun trained on her but unable to take a shot with Lily so close. The whole neighborhood will see, Karen continued. They'll see what happens to people who don't respect authority. They'll see that I'm in charge. That's when I realized Karen wasn't just planning to hurt Lily, she was planning to make it public. To use my daughter's pain as a lesson for everyone else. We were almost to the front door when backup arrived. I could hear car doors slamming, officers shouting. Karen heard it too. You called them, she snarled. You ruined everything. She raised the bat higher and I saw my chance. I lunged forward, tackling her around the waist. We hit the ground hard, the bat flying across the room. Lily ran to the corner, sobbing but safe. Karen fought like a wild animal, scratching and biting, but I had 40 pounds on her and years of training. I pinned her down just as my officers burst through the door. David Hayes, you're under arrest for interfering with HOA business. Karen screamed as they cuffed her. Even then, even caught red-handed with kidnapping my daughter, she still thought she was in the right. I didn't care about her anymore. I scooped Lily into my arms and held her tight, feeling her small body shake with sobs. I'm here, baby, I whispered. Daddy's here. You're safe now. The trial was a media circus. Karen Mitchell became the face of HOA abuse, the cautionary tale about what happens when petty power goes unchecked. News crews lined up outside the courthouse. Reporters called her the HOA terror. But I didn't care about the media attention. All I cared about was helping Lily heal. The first few weeks were the hardest. Lily barely slept and when she did she had nightmares. She was afraid to go to school, afraid to ride the bus, afraid of any woman who looked even remotely like Karen. We saw a therapist, Dr. Martinez, who specialized in childhood trauma. She helped Lily draw pictures of her feelings, talk about what happened, understand that none of it was her fault. Children are remarkably resilient, Dr. Martinez told me. With love and support, Lily will recover from this. But it will take time. Slowly, very slowly, my daughter started to come back to me. Her laughter returned first, just little giggles at silly jokes. Then her curiosity, asking questions about everything she saw. Finally, her trust, believing that she was safe, that I would protect her. The neighborhood changed too. Once Karen's corruption came to light, half the HOA board resigned in shame. We discovered she had been embezzling money from the association funds, using her position to bully anyone who questioned her authority. New neighbors moved into Karen's old house, a young couple with twin boys who loved to play in their yard. They planted wildflowers instead of perfect grass. Their mailbox was bright green. It was exactly the kind of thing that would have driven Karen crazy. Karen Mitchell was sentenced to 15 years in prison for kidnapping, child endangerment, extortion, and embezzlement. The judge said it was one of the most disturbing cases of abuse of power he had ever seen. As they led her away in handcuffs, Karen turned to me one last time. This isn't over, Hayes, she said. There will be others like me. People who understand that rules matter. But I knew she was wrong. There might be other petty tyrants, other people who confused authority with power. But they would never have what I had, the love of my daughter, the support of my real neighbors, the knowledge that family matters more than perfect lawns. A year later, Lily and I planted a garden together. Not just dandelions this time, sunflowers, roses, daisies, every bright flower we could find. The yard looked wild and beautiful and alive. Do you think the Red Lady would be mad about our flowers? Lily asked as we worked. I looked at my daughter, my brave, resilient, wonderful daughter who had survived the worst thing I could imagine and come out stronger. She was smiling, dirt on her nose, her hair full of flower petals. I don't care what she thinks, I said. This is our home. Our rules. Lily grinned and picked a sunflower, holding it up to the sun. I like our rules better. So did I. 2 years after the kidnapping, Willow Lane had transformed into something beautiful. Without Karen's iron fist controlling every detail, the neighborhood had developed its own personality. Some houses had perfect lawns, others had wildflower gardens. Some mailboxes were regulation blue, others were painted with rainbows by children. It was a real community now, not Karen's sterile vision of perfection. Lily thrived in this new environment. She made friends with all the kids on the block, including the twin boys who lived in Karen's old house. She started a neighborhood lemonade stand that raised money for animal shelters. She organized games of kickball in the street on summer evenings. But the best part was watching her confidence return. The scared little girl who had been afraid of her own shadow was now the leader of the neighborhood kids, organizing adventures and defending anyone being bullied. One evening, as we sat on our porch watching the sunset, Lily looked up at me with those big brown eyes that were so much like her mother's. "Daddy," she said, "do you think Mommy would be proud of our garden?" I looked at our wild, wonderful yard full of every flower imaginable. Sarah would have loved it. She always said the most beautiful gardens were the ones that grew from the heart, not from a rule book. "I think she'd love it, sweetheart. Just like she'd love how brave and kind you've become." Lily smiled and leaned against me. "I'm not scared anymore, Daddy. I know you'll always protect me. Always," I promised. "But more than that, I know you can protect yourself now too." As the stars came out, I thought about Karen Mitchell in her prison cell. She had tried to destroy our lives because she couldn't control them. But in the end, all she had done was teach us what really mattered. Not perfect lawns or matching mailboxes or following every petty rule. Well, family, community, freedom. The dandelions in our yard glowed golden in the moonlight and I smiled. Some people might call them weeds, but Lily and I knew better. They were wishes waiting to be made. And we had so many dreams left to plant.